One thing that surprises a lot of people I work with, especially men over 60, is just how much deep sleep controls everything from energy to testosterone. We tend to accept lighter sleep as part of getting older, but the real cost isn't just tired mornings. Deep sleep is when your body repairs itself, and more importantly, it's when testosterone is made. Not getting enough of that stage can quietly lower your levels, slow down your circulation, and take a toll on your confidence without you even noticing right away. And what makes it trickier is that you might still be in bed for 8 hours. But if your brain never drops into the deeper cycles, the benefits don't come. You wake up feeling like you didn't rest at all, and over time, that can affect not just your energy, but also your ability to feel present and connected in intimate moments. It's not your fault, but it is something you can work with. I'll tell you a story that stuck with me. A few years ago, I had a client named Frank, 68 years old, retired school principal from Ohio. Frank came to me after noticing that his mornings felt empty. He still cared deeply for his wife, but their intimacy had become more routine, more distant. He chalked it up to age, maybe stress, maybe just getting older, but I noticed something else, the way he described his nights. He said, "I go to bed at 10, but I'm up 3 or 4 times and I feel wide awake at 4 a.m. That told me a lot. We arranged a home-based sleep study, and the results were clear. Frank was getting barely 20 minutes of deep sleep per night. That's far below what his body needed. He wasn't depressed, he wasn't sick. He was just running on a shallow cycle every night. And his testosterone levels? Low, but not beyond help. We worked together on building better habits, and after a few months he told me, I didn't realize how much sleep was tied to how much I felt like myself. It wasn't instant, but it was real. He didn't need more pills. He just needed more quiet. What often helps in cases like Frank's is something I call a wind-down anchor. One of the simplest ways to improve deep sleep is to train your brain to slow down before bed. No screens an hour before sleep. That includes phones and TV. Instead, try using magnesium oil on your calves or feet. It's safe and supports muscle relaxation. Follow that with 10 minutes of slow breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts, out for 6, no rush. And if you wake easily during the night, a light-weighted blanket, about 10% of your body weight, can help calm your nervous system without any medication at all. These are small things, but together they create a clear message to the body. It's time to rest, not to worry. Just like you can't force a plant to grow faster by pulling on it, you can't rush deep sleep, but you can create the right soil. Your body still remembers how to heal and restore. And when you give it just a little piece, it often surprises you with how much life is still waiting underneath the surface. You don't need perfect sleep, just better support for the nights ahead. Quiet is powerful, and you still deserve mornings that feel like a beginning, not just another day to get through. Here's another one that often slips under the radar, and yet I've seen it make a big difference in just a matter of days. Quiet, chronic dehydration. Most people don't think they're dehydrated unless they're dizzy, sweating, or out in the heat. But the truth is, especially after 60, your body doesn't always send strong thirst signals anymore. That means even if you're not feeling thirsty, you might still be running low. And when that happens, the blood becomes thicker, circulation slows, and organs, including the ones involved in intimacy and energy, stop getting the support they need. I've seen men struggle with low energy, poor sleep, tension in the legs, and yes, weaker erections, simply because their body is operating in a constant low hydration state without them realizing it. And the solution isn't fancy or complicated. It's usually as simple as drinking more plain room temperature water. I remember a client named Walter, 72, retired electrician from Indiana, proud grandfather and an avid gardener. He came to me mostly for energy concerns. He wasn't sleeping deeply. He felt heavy in the afternoons, and intimacy had become something he avoided, not because he didn't care, but because, in his words, I just don't have the fire in me anymore. At first glance, nothing seemed medically alarming. No major illnesses, no new medications, decent heart health. But as we talked, I noticed something. He drank a pot of coffee before noon and maybe had 1 glass of water at dinner. That was it. I asked him to just try adding 6 cups of water across the day. Nothing extreme, no rules about timing or supplements, just plain water. We worked out a habit he could stick with. A glass by his recliner, 1 in the kitchen, and 1 on the nightstand. Within 2 weeks, Walter said he felt more switched on, and the difference in circulation surprised even him. He joked, "Turns out all I needed was plumbing help." It wasn't magic, just restoration. His body had been asking for help quietly, and he finally heard it. What often helps is setting yourself up to succeed without overthinking it. One of the simplest ways I recommend staying hydrated is this. Place a glass of water in 3 spots where you spend most of your time. one by your bed, one near the chair where you usually relax or watch TV, and one in the kitchen. Keep them filled with room temperature water, not ice cold, and sip slowly when you pass by. This isn't about chugging or measuring. It's about giving your body a steady flow. I usually tell folks, start the morning with a small glass right after waking and finish each meal with a few sips. These small adjustments often lead to noticeable improvements in energy, in sleep, and yes, in blood flow to the areas that matter. You don't need to overhaul your whole life to feel better. Sometimes it really is about flow. Water is the carrier of life, and even at 60, 70, or beyond, your body wants to move, repair, and connect. And when you start giving it just a little more of what it quietly needs, it often responds with strength you thought was gone. You deserve to feel more present in your own skin, more energized in your day, and more connected in your relationships. And if that starts with something as simple as a glass of water, then that's a pretty good trade. Another reason that often gets overlooked, especially by men who are trying to stay strong for everyone else, is stress, especially the quiet kind. I'm not just talking about panic or obvious anxiety. I mean the low-level tension that sits in your chest or neck, the kind that builds over time when you're dealing with loss, change, pressure, or just trying to keep everything together. What many people don't realize is that this kind of ongoing stress triggers the release of cortisol, and cortisol is the hormone that competes directly with testosterone. So even if your blood work looks fine on the surface, the presence of constant stress can push your testosterone levels down, mess with your sleep, and lower your desire or even your confidence. I hear men say, I feel off but I don't know why. And often it's not age, it's unprocessed stress running the show behind the scenes. I'll give you an example that really stayed with me. George, 66, former firefighter from Pennsylvania, came in for a checkup 3 years after his wife passed away. On paper, everything looked okay. He stayed active, went fishing with his buddies, volunteered at the local rec center. But his blood pressure was elevated. He said he never felt rested. And more quietly, he admitted that he hadn't felt interested in intimacy in almost a year. He said, I'm not depressed. I'm just tired all the time. We talked a bit more, and I realized George hadn't really talked to anyone about his grief. He hadn't cried, hadn't slowed down, just pushed forward like many men do. I suggested he start a very simple routine. No therapy, no big commitments. Just 5 minutes of writing each morning. No rules, no filters, just putting down whatever was on his mind. At first he rolled his eyes, but 3 weeks later, he told me, it's strange, but I sleep deeper now. I still miss her, but something unclogged. His blood pressure came down slightly, and his follow-up labs showed a modest but real improvement in testosterone. George didn't fix everything, but he stopped bottling everything. That was the shift. What often helps in cases like this is what I call a release habit. One of the most accessible ways is to take 5 minutes every day, morning or evening, and write one full page with a pen. Not typing, not editing, just writing. No one reads it. You can tear it up after if you want. Or if writing isn't your thing, go for a walk without your phone. No distractions, just you and a little silence. Look up at the sky. Notice the color of the trees. These moments tell your nervous system, I'm safe. And that alone can reduce the cortisol that's quietly working against you. You don't need to talk about everything or carry your heart on your sleeve, but you are allowed to feel, you're allowed to pause, and you're allowed to soften without losing strength. When the noise inside you quiets, even just a little, your energy comes back. Not just physical energy, but the kind that lets you show up again for yourself and for those you care about. There's more life in you than stress wants you to believe, and it begins to return the moment you stop holding your breath. Here's something I've seen make a bigger difference than many people expect. Not moving your legs enough. That might sound obvious at first, but I'm not talking about running or workouts at the gym. I'm talking about the simple habit of walking, especially for older adults. As we age, we naturally slow down, and many people stop walking regularly without even realizing it. But your legs are home to the biggest muscles in your body, and when they don't move enough, your blood doesn't circulate the way it's supposed to. That includes blood flow to the pelvic area, which is crucial for energy, for arousal, and for how alive your body feels overall. On top of that, walking boosts nitric oxide levels, a natural molecule your body makes, to help your blood vessels relax and open up. When walking drops off, circulation suffers, oxygen delivery goes down, and over time so does function in areas most men care deeply about, even if they're too embarrassed to bring it up. I'll never forget Sam, 70 years old, retired, mechanic from Michigan. He came in 6 months after knee surgery and told me, I feel like the engine's running, but nothing's firing. His recovery had gone well, the pain was under control, but he never got back to his routine walks. At first it made sense. He wanted to avoid strain, and he figured doing chores around the house was enough. But the truth is, since the surgery, his longest walks were just trips from the bedroom to the kitchen. Over time, he noticed not just stiffness in his back and knees, but also fatigue, heavier legs, and a quiet frustration that things weren't working like they used to in the bedroom. When we looked deeper, we saw no major hormonal changes, no serious cardiac issues, just one missing piece: regular movement. I asked him to try something simple, 2 short walks a day, even if it was just around the house. At first, he walked slow laps between his hallway and living room, holding the back of a chair. Within 2 weeks, his mood lifted. Within a month, his energy returned, and by his next appointment, he looked lighter, not in pounds, but in spirit. He said, "You were right. My body just forgot what movement felt like." What often helps is setting a timer, literally. One of the easiest and most practical habits I suggest is to schedule 2 short walks a day, around 15 minutes each. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can walk inside the house, step in place, during a TV show, or stroll down the block after breakfast and before dinner. The goal isn't distance or speed, it's rhythm. Movement wakes up circulation, and circulation brings life where you want it most. If walking outside isn't an option yet, even a loop through the hallway with some music on can make a real difference. Your body was built to move. It's like a river. When it flows, it feeds everything downstream. When it stops, things go stale. But the good news is, it doesn't take a marathon to make change. Just 2 short walks a day can remind your system how to circulate, how to feel steady, and how to come alive again. And that rhythm is something no pill can replace. You haven't missed your window. Your legs still remember. Give them the chance to carry you back to the energy that's still yours. And here's one more that's easy to miss, but incredibly common: low levels of certain nutrients that quietly affect your energy, mood, and sexual health. I'm talking specifically about zinc and vitamin D. As we get older, it becomes harder for the body to absorb and store these nutrients, especially if you're on long-term medications, spend less time outdoors, or eat less than you used to. What many people don't realize is that both of these nutrients play key roles in maintaining healthy testosterone levels and blood flow. Zinc helps your body produce testosterone, while vitamin D supports hormone balance and keeps your blood vessels healthy. When either one drops too low, even just a little, the effects can show up as low mood, less drive, fatigue, and yes, weaker erections. The tricky part is that the symptoms don't always seem like a deficiency, so it often goes untreated for years. But it's something you can check and improve with a few simple steps. One patient I remember well was Eugene, 73, retired postal worker from Arizona. He came in feeling slower, as he described it. Not sick, not in pain, just not quite himself. He said he didn't feel motivated to do much, had stopped taking walks, and didn't feel connected in his marriage the way he used to. At first glance, it didn't seem like anything major. His blood pressure was okay, sleep wasn't terrible, and he still had a decent appetite. But something felt off. I suggested we run a few simple labs, and sure enough, his vitamin D was well below normal, and his zinc levels were borderline low. He was surprised because he hadn't changed his diet and wasn't aware he needed those nutrients at his age. I explained how vitamin D, which we mostly get from sunlight, naturally drops in older adults, especially those who spend more time indoors or cover their skin. Zinc can drop with age too, especially if someone's been on medications for blood pressure or acid reflux. Eugene agreed to start a low-dose vitamin D supplement with his doctor's approval, and I encouraged him to spend 10-15 minutes in morning sunlight a few days a week. He also added a handful of pumpkin seeds to his lunch, which is one of the simplest ways to naturally boost zinc. Within about 2 months, he told me, I feel lighter in my body, and my wife says I smile more. The change wasn't dramatic, but it was steady and real. What often helps is asking your doctor during your next visit to check your vitamin D and zinc levels. It's a simple blood test, and it gives you clarity. If your levels are low, your doctor might suggest a supplement, or you can begin adding small sources of these nutrients through daily habits. Pumpkin seeds are one of the easiest ways to get more zinc, just a small handful a day. For vitamin D, short daily walks in the morning sun, without sunscreen on your arms or face for the first 10-15 minutes, can help your body produce it naturally. Neither of these changes require drastic effort, but together they support hormone balance, circulation, and overall vitality in a way that many men underestimate until they feel the difference. Sometimes the thing that's been missing isn't something big. It's something small, quiet, and easy to restore once you know where to look. Your body still wants to support you. It hasn't forgotten how. And when you give it just a little of what it's been asking for, it responds. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to begin noticing what your body needs and trusting that it's not too late to feel like yourself again. If even one of these points felt familiar, leave a comment below and tell us which. We read every message, and your story might help someone else feel less alone. Subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss more gentle, honest videos about staying strong, clear, and alive after 60. You are not alone. You are stronger than you think, and you still deserve to live with appetite for each day.